Good afternoon, students. Today you will learn the explanation of the lesson A Girl with a Basket. My dear students, on the first day I told you the summary of that lesson, and today you will learn its explanation. First of all, I will read those passages which I am going to explain before you. So be ready and see your books. A Girl with a Basket by William C. Douglas, 1898-1980. I had left New Delhi for the Himalayas. I was going as far as Bareilly by train and then by car to Ranikhet, an old British Army hill station located on a 16,000 foot ridge opposite 120 miles stretch of snow-capped Himalayas. The train was slow and it stopped at all the way stations. At every stop, I swung open the door of my compartment and walked the platform. The platform were packed with people: Sikhs, Muslims, Hindus, soldiers, merchants, priests, porters, beggars, hawkers. Almost everyone was barefoot and dressed in loose white garments. I would ask at least 3 people before I could find one who spoke English. We would talk world affairs and every major topics the news of the day produced. In this way, I was trying to get a feel of the pulse of the nation, checking opinion against official attitudes and reports. The road lay through one of the richest of India's agricultural areas. This was the plain of the upper Ganga River, 1,000 feet above sea level but tropical. The Ganga was brown, silt swollen with floodwaters. Its overflow undaunting, thousands of acres of rice. To the north were jungles, great expanses of grass higher than a man's head, and unbroken except for an occasional clump of trees, the home of tigers, elephants, panthers and cobras. Everywhere else there was flat land running to the horizon, but dotted here and there by the sacred banyan tree or by the rows of the paga trees, shaped like elms and having thick twisted trunks. Hot humid air was moving in from the southwest. Monkeys, some of them mothers with babies clinging to them and riding underneath, swung up trees at the station looking for food. The village we passed had walls made of mud mixed with water and cow dung. Their peaked roofs were thatched, bundles of grass tied to the bamboo poles stretched across the rafters. The day the pumpkin vines that grew over them were in bloom, trailing streaks of yellow over drab walls. My dear students, in summary, I told you how William C. Douglas, who was a judge of the Supreme Court of America, traveled India and from Delhi to Bareilly he traveled by train. At every platforms he would swung down out of his compartments and talked with the people. He had to talk 3 people before he could find out who could speak English well. With the people whom he met were porters, vendors, coolies, Sikhs, Muslims, and many others. They were clad in loose white garments, almost they were barefooted. So their condition was not good, and the way by which the writer passed, it was Upper Ganga River. It was the famous field of Upper Ganga River, where on that day the water of Ganga was swollen with brown silt, and there were also forests where there were rows of some pakar trees and sacred banyan trees, and there were also some clump of grass higher than man's head, and among those grasses there were clump of pakar trees where phantoms and cobras had made their living places, and the villages where the writer was passing were also, the houses of the villages were made of mud and thatches. Their walls was also made of mud, water, and cow dung, mixed with cow dung, and pumpkin bales was also stealing above the dry walls. So the writer also passed through that way, and then suddenly when he got down at a platform, he was surrounded by some children who were selling their fans and baskets, reed baskets. They were very cheap. Those children were trying to sell their baskets, and those children were the sons and daughters of refugees. In summary, I told you how after the partition was made, 9 million Hindus left Pakistan due to the fear of religious fanaticism. They came in India. When they started their journey, they had very little things. The little things which they had spent or lost on the way due to hunger and thirst. They fell down and died. And some of them who escaped made their living in the markets and tried to sell their all these things among those poor people who were still poor as well as they. So, tomorrow I will explain the remaining portion of the lesson, and that's all. Jai Hind. Goodbye.